From VOA Learning English, this is the Education Report. Doctors who practice in international organizations must learn to use English to communicate with patients and coworkers. At the Enrique Cabrera Medical School in Havana, Cuba, the English program helps medical students do this. The students first learn how to ask a patient about his or her problem. They learn, where does it hurt and how can I help you? Future doctors also learn how to use the command form of English verbs like sit down or hold out your arm. As their education continues, they learn the English grammar structure of reported speech. That is how we tell others what someone else said. When doctors write a report or talk with others, they use this structure. An example is, the patient said she has had 2 children. Or, he said he had a high temperature for 3 days. Talking with patients is more difficult when the patient is a child or does not speak the same language as the doctor. The medical students learn that pictures can help. The patient can point to a picture that explains an injury. In addition to learning from real-life experience, students at Enrique Cabrera Medical School read and listen to articles in English. For example, the head of the English department said he taught about the liver disease hepatitis using a Voice of America story. He also said he hopes more scholarships and education in the U.S. will become available to his students as Cuban-U.S. relations grow. After all, Cuba and the United States are neighbors, only 144 kilometers apart. For VOA Learning English, I'm Ann Ball.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Science Report. A newly published report says sunscreen harms coral reefs. Corals are animals that live in the oceans and seas. Sometimes they are called the rainforest of the sea. They create some of the most diverse ecosystems on the planet. Their great spread of colorful rock-like structures form exoskeletons in the water. The exoskeletons become homes to other very tiny ocean animals. But pollution, warming seas, overfishing, and sunscreen are destroying corals. John Fouth is a biology professor at the University of Central Florida. He is also a scuba diver. Fouth says the chemical in sunscreen called oxybenzone is harmful to corals. The chemical blocks the sun's ultraviolet light, the substance that causes sunburn. Fouth and his team did toxicology studies on oxybenzone. He says they showed that the chemical causes the exoskeleton to turn white. He says it also damages the adult coral's DNA. And he says that genetic damage hurts the development of very young coral. John Fouth says oxybenzone affects more than the coral alone. He says it also hurts all the creatures that depend on the reef for homes and food. The scientist suggests that people use sunscreen without oxybenzone. He says people can also protect their skin by wearing wetsuits or other clothing in the water. The scientist says that would help protect individual corals, the reefs they form, and the animals that make their homes there. For VOA Learning English, I'm Jonathan Evans. From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report. Scientists in England are using 2 self-directed water vehicles to explore the animal and plant life of the Celtic Sea. The Celtic Sea is a body of water off the southern coast of Ireland. The area is known for its exceptional sea life. Scientists want to know why marine animals are so attracted to this part of the Atlantic Ocean. One of the research vehicles is powered by batteries. It collects information for the National Oceanography Center in Southampton, England, and the World Wildlife Fund. The vehicle's low energy requirements permit it to stay afloat for up to 30 days. Reports of what it finds in the Celtic Sea are sent by satellite. Stephen Woodward is an engineer who helped design the craft. He says the vehicle has equipment that can detect small organisms called zooplankton and fish. He says other devices measure water currents and other features of sea life. There is also a device that creates a 2-dimensional map of the sea. Another research vehicle is powered by solar panels and a wind turbine. It can stay afloat for months. The robotic vehicle sends information about biodiversity hotspots. A biodiversity hotspot is an area of an ocean that has a lot of plant and animal life activity. Robotic ocean vehicles greatly reduce the cost of exploring the seas with manned laboratories. Scientists have more time to examine the collected information. The research will help them understand the needs of the Celtic Sea in order to protect and manage its future. For VOA Learning English, I'm Jonathan Evans.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Science Report. The number of buses, taxis, and other vehicles on Kenya's roads is growing every day. Now, the country's first electric-powered motorbike is being made. The bike is designed to cut down on pollution and is aimed at low-income communities. Most motorbikes used in Kenya depend on gasoline as fuel. But this motorbike uses energy from sunlight. 3 university students developed the new Ecotran bike. It captures the sun's energy, stores it in batteries, and uses it to charge the electric motor. Robert Achaget is one of the student inventors. He said the students hope to be able to cover the whole of Kenya with the electric motorcycle within a few years. We want to conserve the environment and provide affordable transport, he said. Electric power is unpredictable in Kenya. The students have set up a fueling station for the motorbikes in Nairobi. The bike's small battery can run for 70 kilometers when fully charged. Once that power is used up, the motorbike has to return to the fueling station while another charged battery is connected to the bike. The United States government's African Development Foundation is supporting the Ecotran idea. The agency is providing financing for 2 solar-powered charging stations in the Kenyan port of Kisumu. Each Ecotran bike costs about $700. One motorcycle taxi operator says the new bike costs less to operate than bikes running on traditional fuel. Ecotran plans to go to the market with 40 bikes in 2016. For VOA Learning English, I'm Ann Ball. From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report. What does the average 15-year-old do with her free time? Most teenagers are hanging out with friends, talking on their smartphones, or playing games on their computer. But Swetha Prabhakaran is different. She enjoys spending her time making the use of technology easier for all. It is called coding. So, exactly what is that? Swetha says it is telling a computer to do something in a language the computer will recognize. The 15-year-old loves to code. Swetha is a student at a top-rated public science and technology school in Virginia. She learned to love the computer field during her first computer science course there. She is also the founder of Everybody Code Now. The nonprofit works to empower the next generation of youth to become engineers, scientists, and entrepreneurs. Everybody Code Now operates in 12 U.S. states. Soon, it will be partnering with schools in India and Ghana. The group works with students to bring starter computer science lessons and other technology information to students through their schools. In September of this year, Swetha was honored at the White House as one of 11 young women named Champions of Change. She was one of 2 15-year-olds to receive the award. Swetha is now working on an app which will help other nonprofit organizations in outreach efforts. Swetha says she finds teaching others to code satisfying. She says she will continue to encourage other girls to give coding a try and see the power coding gives you right at your fingertips. For VOA Learning English, I'm Ann Ball. From VOA Learning English, this is the Health Report. World Health Organization experts recently reported that eating processed meat can cause cancer. Processed meat is meat that has been preserved by curing, salting, smoking, drying, or canning. Experts from the WHO's International Agency for Research on Cancer in Lyon, France, studied 800 cases. IARC researchers linked processed meat, such as hot dogs and ham, to bowel cancer, as well as pancreatic cancer and prostate cancer. The IARC has placed processed meat in the same category that it placed tobacco, asbestos, and diesel fumes. WHO experts also called red meat, including beef, lamb, and pork, probably carcinogenic to humans. Dr. Kurt Strafe is with the IARC. He said that the risk of cancer increases with the amount of meat a person eats. Dr. Strafe said, eating 50 grams of processed meat per day increases a person's risk of bowel cancer by 18%. Health experts in some countries already advise against eating large amounts of red and processed meat. But those advisories have centered on the increased risks of heart disease and obesity, not cancer. Meat industry groups are protesting the WHO study. They say meat is part of a balanced diet. They also argue that the causes of cancer are broad and include environmental and lifestyle factors. The WHO report said the Global Burden of Disease Project estimates that diets high in processed meat lead to 34,000 cancer deaths per year worldwide. For VOA Learning English, I'm Ann Ball. From VOA Learning English, this is the Economics Report. Women entrepreneurs are getting more help and resources, including money, from governments, universities, and corporations. The number of women-owned businesses in the United States increased 44% from 2001 to 2011, says the Center for Women's Business Research. Raising capital or investment money is a major problem for startups because they need money to grow. Only 2% of women-run startups in the U.S. receive support from venture capitalists, says a study by the National Foundation for Women Business Owners and Wells Fargo and Company. Yet, women in the U.S. own 38% of U.S. businesses, or 9.1 million companies, says the study. These companies produce $3 trillion yearly and create 16% of U.S. jobs. Springboard Enterprises in Washington, D.C. is among the organizations adding to the rise in women's entrepreneurship. The group helps connect investors with women-owned startups. It says it has helped about 600 women-owned companies raise $7 billion worldwide. Another factor fueling women's entrepreneurship is the rise of incubators for startup companies. Incubators are often located at universities. They provide possible mentors and investors. Babson College's Center for Women's Entrepreneurial Leadership in Wellesley, Massachusetts, is an example. It also holds a yearly business competition for women entrepreneurs with a grand prize of $250,000. For VOA Learning English, I'm Ann Ball.